In this video, I'm going to show you the basics of audio inside of Ableton. Make sure that you download the Ableton Basics follow along session and open that up so that way you can follow along with this. The first thing to cover with audio is how to import audio. So how do you actually get audio into the session? Now you can right click and insert audio track, or you can use this shortcut that's shown up right here. For Mac, it's Command T. So you can insert an audio track or just hit Command T. The other way to import audio is just by simply dragging and dropping. You can just go to a Finder window, or you can just go into your browser and you can look through your samples and see what you have in there, and then just grab something and drag it and drop it into the session. Let's see, I'll turn this off for now. You can, if you click and drag it, you can drag it onto an audio clip that you've already created, or you can click and drag it onto an empty space inside of Ableton and it'll create an audio track for you because it just recognizes that it's audio. I'll get rid of those because we don't need those. So one way of getting audio into the session is just to simply drag and drop it into the session. The other way to get audio into the session is to create an audio track like this one that I have here for my vocals and record audio in from a microphone. If you're going to bring audio in this way, there's a couple extra steps that you'll have to do in order to record the audio into the session. First thing is you'll have to record on the track. So this little red button down here. And then you'll want to go to your I/O settings and make sure that your audio from is an external in, but you'll also need to make sure that in your preferences, so I'll just hit Command comma, or you can go to, if I exit out of this full screen mode that I'm in right now, you can go up to Live Preferences and you'll see the shortcut right here, Command comma, and open up Preferences. You can get there that way as well. So the other thing you'll have to do is to make sure that your audio input device is set up to whatever you're using with your microphone. Right now I have an Avid Mbox Mini, so I can just record through that. I just select that as my input. If you just have your built-in microphone, then you'd select that. And one other thing that I'll mention is that if you're recording yourself or anything through a microphone, it's ideal to have a low buffer size, so that way there's not much latency when you're listening to it. So the latency is basically the time it takes for me to talk into this microphone, and then the time it takes for me to actually hear my own voice in my headphones or whatever I'm listening back on. And if I set this to a higher buffer size, there's going to be more latency. So I'll talk and it'll take longer for me to actually hear my own voice. So a low buffer size is good for recording in audio. Now that we have some audio in the session, we can start to have some fun with it. And I'll close out some of these windows because we don't need to see all this stuff. And the first thing we'll do is we'll go over to this house loop. And if you want to play anything while you're in the session view, all you have to do is go to this little play button and hit play. And you can see that hitting the stop button just below it stops it, and there's also another stop button just below and it'll stop the clip as well. The other thing is if we want to play all these clips at the same time, then we just go over to the scene right here and hit play.
Come on.
And if we want to stop all of those, then we just hit play on the scene below it. So you see that all of those clips are now stopped. The next thing we need to do is adjust some of these levels because if they're all playing at the same time, they're all really loud, and you could see on my master fader that it was going into the red. So let's turn all of these down a little bit. And I'll hit play and just adjust some of these levels too.
Come on. Come on.
So that seems to be better. One other thing that's good to know is if I wanted to return anything to its default setting, then all I have to do is click on it and then press delete, and it'll take it back to its original level. So for instance, if I hit this pan and I was trying to play with some settings but I didn't like it, I can use this triangle and it'll return it back to its original setting. Or if I just select that and then hit delete, then it'll bring it back to its original position. We have this audio sample here where this girl is saying, "Come on." And if you notice, it doesn't keep playing when the house loop and this other kind of bass line, they keep playing. They just continuously play. But this one hasn't, it kind of plays and then stops. So what we need to do is we need to turn on the loop feature. In order to use the loop though, we have to turn on warp. And warp is just for Ableton to understand how this audio fits in timing wise, so that way if you adjust the tempo, then it's able to adjust the tempo and the looping of this audio clip. So now that we've turned on warp, we have to turn on the loop. And if you'll notice, the length of the loop is a little off of 2 beats because of this red 0 right here. So if we click on that, we can make it exactly 2 beats. Or what we want to do is take it up to 1 bar. So you can take this and just click and drag it up, and then it'll take it to a length of 1. Or if you have this, then you can just take this and type in 1 and then type in 0 for the rest of these. And that'll make it a length of 1 bar. So if I zoom in, now I see that we have 1 bar. And now if I hit play on this, it should continue to loop with everything else.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
And so if I want to, I can adjust the length of this and I can have it going every count.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
But we'll keep it at 1 bar for now. And the other thing I want to do is I don't want it to happen on the downbeat. And what I can do to change that is I can move around this playhead. So where this starts will determine when this audio is actually heard. So what I'll do is I'll hit play and I'll move this playhead around until I find a good spot for this vocal.
Come on. 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 Come on.
So it sounds cool there where it's a little bit syncopated and offbeat. One thing to keep in mind is that when I hit play, because I have this starting kind of where this audio is already going on, that you're going to hear that at the beginning of it whenever I hit play. Which is kind of a cool effect, at least for this example. Eventually, you're going to want to get out of the session view and into the arrangement view. And there's a couple ways to get your audio over into the arrangement view. One way is to just go up here and hit the record button.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Now you'll see that we have that audio recorded into the arrangement view, but it's grayed out at the moment. So we have to go over here to this little button, and when we press that, then now we're going to hear the audio that's playing in the arrangement view. Because when it's grayed out, if I go back over, if I hit tab, I go over to my session view, now you'll see that all of these are not green anymore, they're not playing. But if I hit play on this scene, you'll see that these are playing again, and if I go back over here, these are all grayed out. So I have to hit this button, and now we're listening to what's going on in the arrangement view. So we'll just delete this region or this clip for my vocals because we don't need that. And then we have this audio over here, so now we can start to edit the audio and move it around and kind of start to arrange it into some sort of song or some other patterns. So the first thing I'll do is I'll make all of these just 4 bars long. Next thing I'll do is I'll close out this bottom window so we can see more of these audio clips, and we'll zoom in a little bit more. And then we can drag these out and make these a little bit larger if we want to see more of the audio files. The next thing I can do is I can start to play with some of the audio here and make some different arrangements using just copying, pasting, or editing some of the audio clips that we already have over here. So I can highlight this and I can right click and I can duplicate or use the shortcut Command D, and then it'll just drag it over. And then I can do that with the bass line too. So then maybe if I don't want these vocals to come in until later, I can drag that over, and then I have just my drums and my bass line. And then if I wanted to, maybe I don't want these going every single time, I can go in here and move my cursor to somewhere where I wanted to split the region, and I can hit Command E. So you see that kind of breaks it up, and then I can just drag this, or I can delete that, and maybe I just want every other one. So I can highlight that and hit delete, and then, or I can go over here and I can Command E and then get rid of that. So that's just some basic audio editing. And then maybe I can go in here and create another section, and duplicate those. I can highlight all of this one loop. If I wanted to take this and duplicate it again, I can highlight that section, so that 1 bar, and then I can hit duplicate. And you see that it'll put those regions in the same exact place as they were before. So then I don't have to worry about timing and all that stuff and getting them into the right place. So then maybe if I want these coming in more often afterwards, so if I want this to be, if I want to hear every one of those, then I can do that and add that in. And then if I wanted to, I could edit out some of this bass. So maybe we could take out some of this bass section here just to change it up a little bit. And so now we can see what that sounds like.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
So that's a really quick and easy way to get things organized inside of the arrangement view. And one other way to bring audio into the arrangement view from the session view that I didn't cover is if I hit tab and I go back to the session view, I can click and hold one of these tabs or one of these clips, and then if I hit tab again and go back over to the arrangement view, I can drag and drop that audio into the arrangement view. So now I can make a new section for this audio. Maybe there's a breakdown. And just to add in a little bit of a transitional effect, I'll record in some audio. So I've already got my vocal track lined up. I've got it record armed, and if I just select where I want to start and hit the record button, it'll start to record on that track.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
So now that's getting audio into the arrangement view by recording it in. And that sounds really lame by itself, so we're going to make it a little bit more interesting. And we're going to use some of the effects that we have on the return tracks. So if I click the R, you'll see that we have reverb and simple delay. And the next thing that we'll want to do is we'll want to add in another audio track so that way we can move this to a new track. So I'll hit Command T, or you can right click and insert audio track. So it just inserts one right below it, move that up, and then I can move this audio up to that track. So that way I can add effects and it won't be all over my voice while I'm trying to explain this to you. Although it might sound kind of cool to give myself a reverb, but we'll stick with the audio. And so we'll add this in, and then we'll go to the reverb. I won't do too much with this. We'll just make it a really long decay, and we'll change the dry wet, and the simple delay, we'll just add more feedback and more dry wet. So then we'll go back up to our audio tracks, close this up, and we'll see what that sounds like when I play through it.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
And you can see just by recording in some audio and adding in some simple effects like a little bit of reverb and delay that you can start to add in some audio and have some fun with adding in some new sounds to these tracks. Now I'll get more into the plugins as far as the effects and all that stuff in a different video. I just wanted to show you how you can apply it to some audio that you already have in the session. One last thing that I'll show you is if you double click on any one of these audio regions, so I'll use my Vox, you'll get this window that shows you the audio file that we're working on right now. And if you look in this sample box, you'll see that there's a lot of different options that you can do and use to manipulate the audio. So I can take this and I can turn it up a lot more if I want to, or I can turn it down if I want to. And I can hit delete to reset that. I can transpose it, so I can take it up to 4 octaves up and 4 octaves down. And 4 octaves is a really big range. So what I'll do is I'll chop out a piece of this sample. I'm going to select a little bit, hit copy, and then I'm going to just drop it over here and hit paste. So now I just have, you see how it just kind of chunks out this small section and it's not looping. So I'll just transpose this for you and show you what that sounds like. And also you can detune this. So if I don't want it to go exactly, or if I need to kind of tweak it a little bit to get it on pitch, if I want it exactly on pitch, I can use the detune. Or if I want to take it a little bit off pitch, but not an entire semitone, then I can use this detune feature. And I'll show you how those sound. So I'll just solo this out and loop it. So you can hear how that transposition feature can really start to change the sound quite a bit and start to give you some really cool effects. So I'll hit the triangle and that'll reset that. And then the other thing I can do is I can hit the reverse. So if I hit reverse, you see how it just flops the sample in a different direction. So now if I play that, it'll just be the same thing backwards. So you can make use of this volume, transposition, detune, and reverse all inside of this sample editor. The start and the end are just where these little playback markers are located inside of the clip. So you see when I move those around, the start and the end change. And then we already covered a bit of the loop, so if I turn this on, it'll actually loop, and I can change the loop position. I can highlight that, Command L, and then you see the loop position and length have all changed. Now Ableton's warp feature, if you want to get access to that, that's this section in the middle, and I'm not going to get into that into this video. I'll go deeper into that in another video. And this video was just to show you some of the basic ways that you can get audio into Ableton, either inside of the session view or the arrangement view, and then how you can edit and manipulate that audio while it's in the session. Now we'll get way more in depth about more advanced tricks and things that you can do with audio in some later videos, but for now this is just enough to get you started and get working with inside of Ableton. So if you have some audio loops or anything else, you can just drag those in, or if you just want to record in some audio, you can turn on your microphone, even if it's just your laptop microphone or built-in microphone, for whatever you're using, just turn it on, hit record, have some fun, and try out some of the things that I've showed you here.